more continuity on both ends of the floor. And I think you've seen it in spells. But again, now we reintegrate C, we reintegrate DD, and we've got to be able to
reintegrate C, reintegrate DD. No. You keep like Caitlin Clark and Dantas is not the same type of thing. Dantas is somebody that got to get in where she fit in. Yeah, she needs to be reintegrated and figure out, okay, this is what they doing. Caitlin Clark don't need to figure out, oh, this is what they doing. Y'all, this thing was supposed to be built upon Caitlin Clark's strengths. It's that simple. It's that simple. What's wild is you had the easiest get.
Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White were having a heated discussion at halftime. Word in the street is Caitlin Clark told White to sit Kelsey Mitchell and Howard because they don't pass. Could be true. Caitlin went to tie her shoe. Like, that is something that I noticed. Like, Caitlin literally, when Natasha Howard had the ball, she didn't even look. She was basically walking back on defense. She essentially walked back on defense every time Natasha Howard.
There's no surprise that the Indiana Fever looked best tonight when the offense was ran through Caitlin Clark. There's no surprise that the offense looked best tonight when we pushed the ball off of a make, pushed the ball off of a miss. There's no surprise that the Indiana Fever looked best tonight when Caitlin Clark was surrounded by players that don't have an ego, surrounded by players that said, I'm going to be MVP of the WNBA this year. You see how easy it is when you just let Caitlin play ball and others follow suit?
You guys didn't see Natasha Howard. Natasha Howard looked off Caitlin Clark to end the third quarter. She looked off Caitlin Clark to end the third quarter in what was just incredibly dumb play. And again, if you didn't see here, Natasha Howard looks off Caitlin Clark to run to nowhere, takes 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 steps, does the cha-cha slide, and gets it to Caitlin Clark with 3 seconds to go, and she has to shoot a tough step back. Instead of letting Caitlin Clark push the pace and go and hit someone with an assist or something.
Gutty performance from Caitlin Clark in what was an encouraging win for the Fever over the Dream. You know, the loss to the Golden State Valkyries would have you thinking the Fever need to be relegated and kicked out of the WNBA. But that's why you don't crash out too hard after one bad game. It's been an inconsistent ride for Indiana and for Clark as well, who's had to fight through a lot of injuries. But I think the encouraging thing from Cece was the fight that she showed on the floor. Clearly, she's not quite at 100%, still working her way back, hasn't found her 3-ball yet. But what she did...
half where we had Caitlin off ball and sitting a lot, sitting on the bench, rotting away in the first half, and the second half where, oh my God, she's in the game. Oh my God, they're giving her the ball. Oh my God, they're letting her dictate tempo. It's not rocket science, folks. It really is not. Oh, did I forget to mention the Indiana Fever beat the Atlanta Dream 99-82. The Atlanta Dream come into Indiana and walk out with an L as we celebrate with a dub.
But don't mistake Clark's shoelace rebellion for defeat. That was a warning shot. She's not a victim here. She's a general biding her time. She knows this dysfunctional experiment will eventually implode. And when it does, who will be left holding the stat sheet and the crowd's attention? Not the ball hog who's trying to play point forward with her eyes closed. Clark is playing chess while others are arguing with the checkers board. A takeover isn't just possible, it's inevitable. The blueprint for success is simple. Clear the floor, free the offense, and let the best player in the world run the show without having to dodge self-sabotage missions from her own squad. The fix isn't complicated, it's just sitting on the bench.
Gig in the business. You went and blew it. You went and just made the job 10 times harder than what it needed to be. I've never seen somebody fumble a incredible talent like this. Generational, once in a lifetime player like this. I've never seen somebody fumble the bag this easy. This was an easy bag. Stephanie White, this was an easy bag, bro. All you had to do was focus on the defense and let Caitlin handle the offense. But you're fixated on this trash offense you brought from Connecticut that nobody wants to run.
This leads to the juiciest part of the drama. The ops in the locker room. Sources and insiders whisper that the locker room is corrupted. This isn't just about bad chemistry, it's about active internal resistance. It's the idea that certain players, whether out of ego or jealousy, are working against the team's best interests because they can't handle a superstar of Clark's magnitude taking the spotlight. Clark and Aaliyah Boston reportedly asked the front office to protect the locker room from these kinds of personalities, and the front office failed. They brought in players who are now acting like saboteurs, creating a toxic environment where winning takes a backseat to individual agendas. This explains why a player would so blatantly ignore the best offensive weapon on the court. It's not a mistake, it's a statement.
Okay, so let's start off with this, man. The game plan to stop the Dream from winning. And the main thing they were doing on defense, the Indiana Fever, was trying to collapse the defense on the bigs. Now, I get it. Brittany Griner, Bree Jones, they cooked us the first time we ever played them. And, you know, they are a really tough front court. But my thing is, if you have Jordan Canada shooting the way she was shooting from the three, just adjust, all right? Change the game plan, fam. You cannot continue to try to collapse on the big.
The proof is in the tape. This is a tale of two teams. When Howard is on the floor, the offense grinds to a halt. The spacing evaporates. She clogs every lane like a plumbing issue that won't quit. Opponents see her check in and their eyes light up. It's like handing out coupons for free layups because they know the ball is going to stick. But the moment she sits on the bench, a miracle occurs. The ball starts zipping around the perimeter. Movement returns. Spacing, actual beautiful spacing, reappears like it was hiding in the locker room, waiting for permission to come out. Suddenly, shooters get open looks. Drives don't end in disaster. And fans don't want to walk out before halftime. The team looks cohesive, professional, and dangerous. It's not a coincidence, it's a blueprint.
Against the defenders by putting her head down and going to the basket. That opened things up for her playmaking, which of course is another genius aspect of her game. Once that started clicking, the Fever ran away with things. Sophie Cunningham was everywhere. Clark had it going with Aaliyah Boston again. Kelsey Mitchell was cooking. And all of a sudden, you look up and the Fever are lighting up the scoreboard. But you saw Clark sort of gaining her rhythm as the game went along, sort of returning to her form as the game went along, finding that pep in her step as the game went along.
This single play perfectly captures the coaching malpractice happening in Indiana. Why is Stephanie White allowing this to happen? This isn't just one player making a mistake, it's a systemic problem. You have a generational talent, a player who is an entire offensive system by herself, and you're letting her be frozen out by a teammate with tunnel vision. The team's offense is slow, clunky, and predictable. Sticking Clark in the corner and asking her to run off screens is like handing a Ferrari to someone who insists on driving it in a school zone. It's not just ineffective, it's sabotage with a clipboard. This isn't coaching, it's managing a superstar's talent down to a level that the coach is comfortable with. It feels less like a strategic decision and more like an ego-driven attempt to prove that the system is more important than the generational player who could redefine it.
So I'm getting concerned. I'm getting concerned about Caitlin Clark's future with the Indiana Fever because it's not just that they're losing these games, it's the manner in which they're losing. It's the low shot attempts from Caitlin Clark. It's the low usage from Caitlin Clark. It's the having her in the corner, coming off these screens, getting the ball on the wing, and then her losing the basketball, keep getting the ball in these unfavorable positions. She is at her best when she's pushing it up the floor, coming off the screen with Aaliyah Boston. You're not even doing that anymore. It seems like the Indiana Fever aren't prioritizing Caitlin Clark's growth as a player, but what they're prioritizing is the system of basketball that Stephanie White has ran throughout the entirety of her career.
And that's when the magic happened. Faced with this blatant act of on-court disrespect, what did Caitlin do? Did she scream? Did she throw her hands up in frustration? Number. She did something far more devastating. Instead of calling for the ball or running a desperate last-second play, she just casually bent down in front of the Fever bench and started tying her shoes. Slow, deliberate, with the focus of a bomb disposal expert. This wasn't about laces, folks. This was a silent, cold-blooded protest. It was a resignation letter with knots, a comedic pause that screamed, "Y'all do whatever you want. I'll be over here protecting my ankles since you clearly don't protect possessions." It was the WNBA version of sipping tea, a masterclass in shade that was more powerful than any sideline scream could ever be. It was a genius move of psychological warfare, letting her teammate and her coach know that she saw the game they were playing and she refused to participate.
We're going to talk about that in the morning, bro. So much stuff happened behind the scenes between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White. Then we got Sophie Cunningham speaking to the media tonight, but so much stuff happened. Let's
It was the kind of on-court crime that makes you question reality. The play was simple. Get the ball to your best player. Instead, Natasha Tash Howard grabbed a rebound and decided it was her time to shine. She looked directly at a wide-open Caitlin Clark, who was ready to ignite a fast break, and made a conscious decision to ignore her. She paused, then proceeded to embark on a solo journey to nowhere. She dribbled aimlessly into traffic, did a cha-cha, slide into a double team, and finally, in a moment of sheer panic, tossed the ball to Clark with only 3 seconds left on the shot clock. It was a masterclass in selfish, low IQ basketball, a black hole where possessions go to die. Howard wasn't playing basketball. She was performing a one-woman show titled Me, Myself, and I, the musical. And the most electric player in the world was just a stage prop in her delusional production.
Op in the building, y'all. The locker room has been corrupted. It's clear as day. It's clear as day. The one single thing Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston asked this bum, this joke of a front office to do was protect the locker room. Do you think they did it? I'm just gonna sit here and be quiet. You let me know if you think they did it. Of course they didn't do it, bro. Of course they didn't do it. The locker room is in shambles. It's a joke. We got an op in the locker room. And I don't even know if it's all the way her fault. I believe Stephanie White is a pure liar. I believe Stephanie White and Amber Cox and them lied to Dewana Bonner about
struggling with her shot, but in the second half, it looks like Stephanie White let her go. Stephanie White was like, all right, we need to get this W. Go ahead and get us this W, Caitlin. And listen, Caitlin, she's got a horrible whistle. Sophie Cunningham has a better whistle than Caitlin. The only person on the team with a worse whistle than Caitlin is probably Aaliyah Boston. But even with that bad whistle, she keeps fighting. She keeps going. I mean, she's getting held and hacked, and she's getting defended unlike anybody else on the court. Even when it's good defense, it's just in her jersey.
Caitlin Clark didn't just drop buckets. She dropped fire in the locker room. Before torching the Atlanta Dream, she reportedly had a heated argument with Coach Stephanie White that left the walls sweating. Was it strategy, sass, or straight-up chaos? We may never know the details, but what happened on the court next was a takeover so savage that it became a highlight reel nobody saw coming. Because this wasn't just about the points she scored. It was about the points she made without saying a single word.